We have now just finished 5 oceanic expeditions to look at trash.
So our South Pacific gyre voyage, we just ended this one about a month ago, arrived in Easter Island. It was from Chile to Easter Island, right to the center of the accumulation zone of the South Pacific down here. We did that and we found, once again, another garbage patch. These garbage patches accumulate within the subtropical gyres. That's where sailors don't go, there's no wind, no currents, and the plastic trash just migrates to that center.
You'll also see in there a small fish, about this big, called a lanternfish, or a myctophid. It's a deep-sea fish that feeds the bigger fish that you and I eat, the mahi-mahi and the tuna. We brought 671 of these fish back to land, back to our lab, cut open their stomachs, and found 35% had plastic in their stomachs. Now these are fish, again, that feed the bigger fish that you and I eat. So what impact might this have on us, on you and I as seafood eaters? So I was curious about what's in my body as a woman who will pass on chemicals in my body to the next generation. It was really disturbing to me to see that in my blood, the blood of a mostly organic eating, mostly vegetarian, pretty healthy person, there were trace levels of PCBs, DDT, PFCs, and higher levels of flame retardants. Over 4,000 miles, every single surface sample that we collected had this confetti of broken down toothbrushes and bottle caps and lighters and all this crap from our communities.
All kinds of other hydrocarbons, pollutants in our oceans stick to plastics and are being eaten by the fish that we harvest to feed the world. What do we do about this issue? Well, number one, we've got to stop the flow of plastic to the seas. And a lot of that's going to start with what we do up here on land. It's going to begin with changing, rethinking how we look at trash. Almost every company uses plastic in some way, shape, or form to package or make their or transport their product. You can't point to a company. The gyres are in international waters, so you can't point to a country either. And the material plastic, it's a long polymer chain, it's non-biodegradable. It's going to outlive all of us, the plastic that's out there at this moment. So it is an oil spill. It's much, much greater magnitude than the BP spill, and I hope we can react in the same way.
So what we notice is that you can't clean this stuff up. You can't go out to the oceans and skim the surface of the planet, which is 2/3 water, and remove all the plastic without removing tons of life. You can't clean it up. You can't recycle your way out of this issue because plastic recycling is a bit of a myth. Most of what we bale up and put up very dutifully in our curbside recycling, most of that gets shipped overseas to China. What we can do, though, is stop the flow of plastics through a combination of everyday habits, everyday changes, the small, simple things we can do, like using eco-usable water bottles, not buying single-use disposables, holding the straw when you go into a restaurant, looking for dry detergent instead of wet, packaged in plastic. So being very mindful of the things that we all use and dispose of every day. But even beyond that, we need to get to our legislators. This issue can only be stopped with legislation and company responsibility because we can't educate 7 billion people on the face of the planet to change their ways. It starts with everyone here, though. What we really want to focus on now is solutions, how to engage people in practical solutions and how to spread this information because still so few people understand this issue of plastic pollution. We're going to continue doing one expedition a year, and that's where we invite anyone who's interested in seeing this issue firsthand. The next voyage is going to be in a year's time, and we're going to go to Japan to explore an area that hasn't been looked at for 30 years. It's off the coast of Japan, and we think about that time we'll be seeing a whole wave of tsunami debris wash up. So we can stop the flow through better consumer behavior, through encouraging our legislators to do things like ban single-use disposable bags. And finally, we can shop responsibly and demand from companies that they do the right thing. And that's where we ask companies, if you make something, you deal with the end life of it. You deal with the end life of disposal, and if they have to do that, then they will make a much better product.